It is going to be an uphill battle, but as of late, with these latest grids tournaments, NRG has had some pretty interesting losses. So I would say that now might be XSET's best time to be taking a crack at NRG.
Yeah, we'll see how NRG come out the gates. It feels like, I'm not going to say wild card with NRG, but I never really know what they're going to give us in game one at the start of any tournament. They tend to surprise us, I think, more than any other top team in terms of teams that hang around them close enough.
Yeah, and especially with the grid as of late, they've had some really slow starts. But, you know, these regional events, so much more pressure, and I really feel like NRG is a team that thrives under that extra pressure.
I absolutely agree. I mean, this team made that turnaround after Season 8, and since then they have always been in the talks of being the best team in North America, but that's been a tough crown to grab, especially in times like these. But so far, this first minute has gone without much fanfare. A lot of boomer balls back and forth. No one really breaking the other's hold. Nice bump from AlphaKep, and Garrett saving the day.
Yeah, it does feel like it's the early rounds of a boxing match. Just a few testing punches, people getting in the rhythm, getting in the groove. But I'm sure we'll see the pace start to pick up here. Already seeing that aggression, that bump play. Can expect to see more of that. Justin's actually been getting a lot more involved in the aggressive bump plays from NRG, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
That's certainly scary to think, because most times you see Justin coming forward and he's doing something like that, keeping the ball a little closer to him, maybe going for flip reset or 5. But if he starts getting involved in the physical game, well, you're not really expecting Justin to be there for that. AlphaKep finds J-Pow, and James, it's the changeup that delivers the goal for XSET.
Yeah, that demo on Squishy opened up space in the midfield, and that lovely flick from AlphaKep that set up the shot. And AlphaKep, after the flick as well, was staying in the play, looking for the bump. Didn't really even have to get it. He gave J-Pow an open look, and you feel bad for Justin in that situation. 2v1. It's going to be tough to stop anybody at this level.
But a great start for XSET overall. They have been trying to generate pressure, and while they couldn't stay in the orange half for a long period of time in that first 2 minutes, they did put the threat there. Nice bump onto Hoxer, and J-Pow can't find the touch, but Garrett didn't want to commit. NRG not the type to play that overly aggressive style. They much prefer to control the game, control midfield, and make you make the mistake, and they can punish you with easy quick mechanics, if you will, in the blue half. I do like how XSET have played this, though. They're also not trying to overextend themselves, not playing scared. But I think as they've played in RLCS X more and more, they've looked more comfortable in the pitch overall. J-Pow, especially, I feel, has improved.
And J-Pow, the only one to score so far, coming off that pass from AlphaKep. XSET has settled in nicely. But anyone who's seen NRG play before knows that they have a different pace, a different setting that they can go to if they really, I don't know if it's motivation or what, or mindset.
Yeah.
But right now, XSET has been able to take it to NRG. We've seen NRG, even Garrett and Justin jumping at the same ball, not necessarily being on the same page. And even there, Garrett just having to dump the ball and get rid of it. We're not seeing much possession, but still a chance, and Justin crossbar down. All it takes is one look at net. AlphaKep thinking he had time, and Garrett just got up in front of him. That wasn't really a set play. It was just an opportunity from AlphaKep trying to take too much time in the corner.
Yeah, that just allowed Garrett to get off the ceiling. If Garrett's going the whole way up to the ceiling on the sidewall to challenge you from the corner, you've taken way too much time for sure. So,
and it's always dangerous up there in that corner too, Jorby. Anytime you're in the corner like that, if you lose the challenge, there's a very good chance that it's going to pop out right into the middle.
But, you know, this season, more than any other season before, we've seen teams, especially at the top, they take that sort of angle on the challenge just because high in the air, it's so beneficial to take the challenge height. And J-Pow had part of that net open, just couldn't quite find the accuracy. Quick turnaround for Squishy into Garrett. Oh, what a save by AlphaKep.
But I like that play. Squishy could have been selfish there. He could have gone for a touch into an air dribble or a double tap ball, flip reset ball. But with the way Garrett's been playing lately, not a bad idea to go to Garrett. Unfortunately for NRG, Garrett shot that ball right at the defender. It was good defensive positioning from XSET, hoping that that shot would go right there, and it ended up being the case. And we're still tied up.
Ooh.
Demo, though, on the back line.
JPEL wasn't ready for that one, though. He was still sitting at his own third. Justin is a consistent power threat when he's in the blue half. He's just letting every single ball rip when he gets behind it. On a mission to score this game tie break goal. Hoxer actually bumping Justin off of it, but NRG's rotations have been solid. XSET have matched them cleanly. But who's gonna break that hold? Squishy, another kick downfield. Garrett turn and tail onto the ball, and he kicked it off the bounce under a second left. Squishy, does he still have the ball? Yep, kept it up. Garrett keeps it going. JPEL, not the best touch. Justin keeps the play alive for NRG, and Hoxer lets it die, yeah.
But that was a very good clear from Squishy. You know, he was the last one back, didn't really have any support, but he looked at the positioning, all the players on the field, and threw that ball downfield so Garrett could be the first one to get to it. And we almost saw a 0-second goal resulting from that. But now Justin hit that across middle. That second effort, important to slow down the attack.
Garrett, plenty of space for him. That's a good challenge from Hoxer. That's the other thing. NRG, most of the times when they control the game, they'll always just try to kick the ball away from you. Even if they could take a shot, sometimes they just don't if it means that they could have better possession. But they haven't been able to possess. And James, you've alluded to that a couple of times. And this has felt like a long game one between these squads. And we're about a minute into OT. I don't feel like either team has a hold on the other.
And JPEL, he had a look that he probably could have put in. And even NRG, that pass from Squishy over to Garrett, that could have been a goal as well. This one could have gone either way, and it still can. That next goal going to be the golden one.
Well, Justin tried to go underneath, and he was able to get by JPEL, but that follow-up has just been too clutch from XSET. Here's Hoxer on the catch. GarrettG right on top of him, and a good follow-up from Justin. This puts Hoxer in a tough assignment against Justin. Squishy still waiting along midfield. He sees Alpha Kep. Now he takes his shot off this tap, and it's almost an own goal, and JPEL gets the daintiest touch onto the ball.
Oh my goodness.
To keep it away from Justin. Alpha Kep picks up another save. Squishy bangs it against the back wall, and JPEL can't get the clear. The push is gonna keep going for Squishy, and Hoxer picks up the next save. Justin, the return shot. Hoxer in midair. It got right on top of his car, but it's not over. Two misses from XSET. JPEL can't do it. And NRG get away with a scrappy game one.
You know, that looked like a juggling effort where it seems like they're going to drop the club almost every time they go for the catch, and eventually things do fall apart. Though the misses on the backboard, Jorby, just kept adding the pressure onto the defense of XSET, and it's no wonder they finally fell off there. That was a breakdown by the XSET defense that NRG kept manipulating, and when you miss a read on the backboard, and we saw that it kind of all stemmed back to that misread by JPEL where he hit it back towards his own net, and then he was out of position, and that led to a panic clear, and then more misses off the backboard. You're playing catch up. You're you know, in a lot of defensive debt in that situation where you're trying to use boost to make up for it, but there becomes a point where you just run out of boost. You can't make the positioning that you need to. You can't be where you need to be, and then eventually you get scored on. And you see that multiple players, Hoxer floating in the air. They just couldn't keep up. NRG getting a win there, but this was a game, Jorby. It really could have gone either way.
Yeah, I loved how XSET opened the game and then how they were able to play throughout the entire 5 minutes of regulation. In overtime, it started much the same, but then, like you said, it's one mistake begets another for XSET. And, you know, one panic touch leads to several panic touches after, you know, when you're holding against a team for so long and one mistake finally does happen, that's where the resilience and mentality comes in. And sometimes it can be the hardest moment to be resilient.
And NRG, they smelled blood in the water, and they kept attacking over and over and over again. And eventually it paid off. Garrett wasn't the flashiest goal. Both goals that we saw from NRG were not the flashiest goals. That first one was one where Garrett challenged Alpha Kep, who took too much time in the corner, and then that one,
Ooh. Alpha Cap picks up another save. We've been talking about J-Pow's impact on the pitch so far, but Alpha Cap has had the majority of the saves, and he's had to make the goal line stops. Arguably the hardest when you have pick a player on NRG, any of them about to shoot right in front of your box. The one previous, he had the pre-jump. Nice touch from Squishy to Justin. That pass is a consistent threat from NRG so far.
And most of the time, the save attempt you remember is the one before the goal is scored. So it's extra pressure on whoever's that last defender back.
Well, we've started much the same again. Let's see if XSET can put that first goal in again. But NRG have had the control for the first minute and a half here, where XSET felt like they got more opportunities early in game one. Now they're kind of making up for lost time, having to use more boost than NRG do just to get to the challenge. Justin able to flip over one. Garrett going backside. Alpha kept tough spot, but he can get there. Justin, another shot. J-Pow can't get there. The ball's too fast for him.
And this is a testament to Justin's speed. Even getting that pass over to Garrett, it even surprised Garrett a little bit. It surprised everybody. Garrett was able to get the shot, and Justin, he never left the play. He was able to quickly turn, and it's just that game sense that Justin has. Really a great eye to recognize that space when he's got to fill it, but an immediate response now from XSET.
There's a nice touch from Alpha Kep. Immediately turns downfield, and it's pretty routine, but you got to get it over Garrett, who was in the toughest spot on that. You think, okay, you just gotta lean back a little bit. He'll get a redirect, hard shot, but it can't go that high, can it? Well, it didn't go that high, but higher than Garrett.
And I was just singing Justin's praises, and rightfully so, but then that was a mishit. He gave that ball away.
Yeah.
And put Garrett in that awkward spot. So a rare mistouch from Justin, and we're back to where we started. XSET keeping this series close with NRG.
A little space, though, for Garrett. He's got boost, he feathered, and he scores! Garrett just flies by J-Pow, passing bird in the sky, whatever. Easy double tap.
And this was a great touch from Garrett off a nice pass from Justin. That put J-Pow in a really tough spot. It was a savable ball, but when you have to jump up and make that read when you're flat-footed like that, it is a very awkward situation. You saw him get lost there, and Garrett, that first touch, that's what sets up that double tap, and he did it so well. Hit that directly where it was bouncing back for him. Didn't even have to use that much boost to adjust.
Ooh. Alpha kept trying to do everything he can to get this ball away from NRG. I think it has to touch 3 NRG players, or specifically 3 GarrettGs, before XSET can actually touch the ball, but even when they do, it goes into their net.
And a clever little handbrake there to get around the ball nicely. And then Garrett shadowing. He's just playing the challenge, playing the 50. And Hawkser, in a situation like that, you're always going to be a little bit nervous, wondering what Garrett's going to do. But Garrett playing that 50 was such a wise play. Even if he doesn't score there, it's going to be a rebound opportunity. It ended up just going in. And Garrett, even in the grid, Garrett has been a huge scorer. He keeps it going here, a hat trick in this one. Garrett is having a stellar game.
I mean, that's been the hallmark of Garrett's career, right? Consistency. Like, sure, he had that tweet up that he'll lift the trophy one day forever, but he did. He got there. And even after that, Garrett consistently produces. It's why he always impresses me so much, James. One of the longest standing players in the RLCS, period. Garrett, it's insane his production over time where so many other players are gone, and Garrett still remains in the conversation for one of the best players in his region.
Yeah, great work ethic, great mentality as well if you follow these players outside of the game. Garrett, one of the best out there, if not the best. He is a joy, not only to watch on the field, but off the field. And that you can really just see that character come through in his gameplay. And it's one of the things that makes NRG so exciting and so tough to beat as well.
Yeah, he has that. If Justin is all flash, Garrett is, This is going to sound poor on Justin. I didn't intend it to. I was going to say Garrett was tastefully flashy, but that implies there's some crudeness to Justin's play, which is absolutely not the case.
I think for Garrett, I would describe Garrett as a sturdy foundation.
Ooh, okay,
whereas
I like that.
Justin is the creative architecture. He brings
interior designer.
Yeah, he brings that creativity and does things you just don't expect. Which
Speaking of that,
is also lovely. Oh, and yeah, look at that, Garrett! His 4th goal. Him and Justin connecting.
He's already off the ceiling. Garrett launched that to Justin as he was still going. He knew exactly where to put that. Justin knew exactly where to touch it. Yeah, but whatever, James. I thought it was funny. You were like, Justin sometimes just does things, we don't really expect it. As you're saying that, I'm seeing him just climb up the sidewall onto the ceiling before Garrett touches it, and I'm like, yep, here it comes.
Justin is one of those people you call a trendsetter. He doesn't wait to see what the popular thing is. He just goes out and makes it. And now we see another goal here, but it's going to be a little too late. XSET trying to climb back from this huge deficit. And Jarby, this was a game where you really can see what makes NRG deadly. Justin's speed, his passing, Garrett's ability to finish. You got Squishy being that backbone where he's so smart at where he chooses to clear the ball that allows Justin and Garrett to get to the ball in a way that allows them to have the space to make that next play. And XSET, we saw him, even J-Pal specifically, a few reads that were off the mark. And against NRG, you can't afford to have that. You can't afford to be imperfect.
Well, XSET were certainly having a giant hill to climb, and NRG complete dominance in game number 2, where XSET, you felt like they were starting to find their way. And if they take that first game, maybe that established confidence helps them in the rest of the match. But now the precedent is set yet again, and the mountain has to feel pretty steep right now for XSET.
And we are just continuing to see, Jorby, in these big tournaments, in these big regional events like this, you see the teams like NRG, like G2, even when they may not be playing their best recently, when they're in these big events, they bring their A game. Even when a team like you saw United get out to that early lead versus G2, they just find ways to win and fight their way back into it. NRG, they had that slow start, but they are now starting to pick up the momentum and pick up the pace, and it's going to be very difficult for XSET to get their feet back under them.
We'll see what XSET have, because right now there's not a lot in their hands, but J-Pal, he has been the most consistent threat on offense. So if you're looking for more production, maybe more of the offense goes through him. But, you look at the third, a name I feel like I haven't said a lot, Hoxer.
Yeah.
Hoxer's been on teams where he's been the star striker, but he hasn't really found much production overall in this game against NRG. And James, the next best time to score a goal is now. Yeah, that's enough.
But look at Squishy. Alpha kept takes him out of the play. That was a 25-mile-an-hour goal. So not the fastest goal, but the slow hit allowed Alpha Kept to get there in time. I mean, if it's a blast, maybe it is already bouncing off, but that was... I
just want that boop on a soundbite that we can play at will. I thought that was a pretty accurate representation of the blunt force that was applied there. But see if XSET can generate multi-goals, or Garrett is just the most disgusting redirect guy on the field. He hits the ball, it goes in the net at the most ridiculous angles. It's clean, it's beautiful on the undercarriage. Do you need anything else?
He's so clinical that he didn't really have much boost at all to work with. And it's like a dance. Watching Justin and Garrett work together on the offensive side, when you see them in sync like this, it is just a treat.
Even right there, they connected, but Alpha Kep was ready for it. And it's the thing about that shot, too, is just how it looked like it was one sweeping motion from Garrett. But it takes several consistent inputs there to make that turn and shot happen like it did for him, but it just looked so smooth. Like you said, a dance. Hey, that's the best way to describe how NRG look right now. And when they are clearly the better team on the pitch, this is the type of stuff they can do. Oh, nasty fake from Justin. Opens up a spot for Squishy. Gets bumped by Justin J-Pow, and Squishy, well, hard to miss that one.
And this is vengeance for Squishy. This is a very similar goal. This time, J-Pow gets bumped out of the net by Justin, allowing Squishy to get that shot. And it was a smart play from Squishy. He is so good at slowing down the ball, getting a first touch. You know, no matter what the situation is, Squishy a master of that first touch. And he was able to slow that down and let Justin get that bump out of the way.
And where does that leave XSET? They got a lot of time left on the clock, but 2 quick strikes from NRG. Looks like it puts you in that same spot you were feeling yourself in game 2, which was not a pretty one. Alpha kept able to get over 1, but I don't remember the last time XSET really actually had control of midfield. He can do no wrong. Mr. Reliable over here in GarrettG. Look, Justin pulling off his best twirlies, and Garrett gets a nice little pop off the ground. It's Dancing with the Stars, Rocket League edition, James.
It's incredible. It takes 2 to tango. And Garrett and Justin, they're dancing for real. That one straight off the ceiling. Garrett,
oh no,
free-flipping it, able to get that shot on target. They are clicking, Jorby. This is a frightening sight.
You know, Squishy, open net. Doesn't get any easier than that, does it? 4 goals.
NRG are running away with this, Jorby. Hawks are trying to take his time. Just getting dunked on. We saw the same thing happen to Alpha Kep in the first game. Taking time that you can't afford to take.
Yeah, time definitely not XSET's best friend. Because scoring 3 against NRG right now, that's gonna be tough. Right now, it ain't happening. Alpha Kep gets just chipped out of the way by Justin. It doesn't even matter what XSET try to do with the ball. NRG are just better. It's like, okay, you want to wrap around, air dribble, cool. I already challenged it. Oh, you got past me with the ball. Okay, I bump you. Oh, what's that? You bumped me to score. Okay, we can do the same thing. Like,
yeah, they're just playing at a different level, Jorby. You can see it. The speed, the reads, the boldness as well. The boldness of some of these plays that NRG has converted on. They're playing a different game out there right now.
It's that comfortability just leads to some of the most entertaining plays that you can see and some of the nicest shots as well. And that's been NRG in this match. XSET, they've had a rocky road.
Look at these demos. Justin he's losing his mind. He's trying to find out how to fill this time. He's bored out there, and so he started to go for demos.
He's got Hatties, he's got playmakers, he's got saviors, but how many exterminations does Justin have? He's got to add to his repertoire, James. Nice pass,
this has been a beating. This has been a beating. Justin and Garrett on the offensive end. Justin getting his bumps, his demos coming out now. We've seen him clear the way for Squishy. This is a brutal loss for XSET.
Yeah, you know, they hung on in that first game for a little bit, but then the match turned into a Quentin Tarantino movie, and it's just a bloodbath. All 3 XSET players trying to chase this ball down, and it looks like a rank game right now.
Yeah, it's like
I don't think I've ever said that with XSET on the field, but they look like Platts against NRG right now. I said it.
It's like watching Rocky if Rocky ends up losing. You know, just watching him get beat up.
You don't understand how in the world Rocky's able to go to the last round and win the match somehow because he got a cheeky hit in on the right jaw. But XSET haven't landed a single punch. They're playing against Floyd Mayweather right now. No points for you, XSET. That one was just for NRG to make you feel a little bit better. In all seriousness, though, NRG, about as NRG in a performance as you can expect against XSET, and definitely playing with house money at this point. The big question for NRG becomes, at this point, you know, how do they do against the rest of the top of North America? Envy especially. I think a lot of NRG fans are definitely looking at Team Envy as that hill that NRG still need to climb over consistently, at least lately. You know, at the beginning of Season X, NRG owned that matchup, but it's a different tune now.
Oh man.
No, XSET.
Avert your eyes, Jorby.
I have him close. I might turn my monitor off just to
10
protect
seconds
myself.
left until it's over. No, oh my goodness, what a save that was, but the rebound coming out to Justin. I think NRG is going for the Brazil at this point.
Well, yeah. I thought XSET were helping him out there. J-Pal tried to pick up the save. Poor Hoxer. He was trying to wig that ball away from NRG, but just couldn't. Now it's all about the Brazil, James. Did they give it to him? Oh, J-Pal doesn't want any of it. Nice little kick. Garrett wants it. That's a win more touch.
Oh,
look at that.
There
There it is. Full field. And Squishy punches the tip in off of Justin.
Justin, he's been passing brilliantly all series, and he ends with that one. Squishy getting one for the road, getting a hat trick, and NRG a dominating performance. You really don't see many series this one-sided. This was one of those series where you look back to and just say, wow, that was a shellacking.
Not pretty. But XSET, luckily for you, it's not over yet. And you can lick your wounds and try again in the lower bracket. But NRG, like you said, James, couldn't look cleaner. And I think that is definitely a statement for NRG, who sometimes they tend to let teams stay a little longer than they should. But this time there was never a question, and I think that bodes well for them for the rest of the tournament. I am curious to see where XSET ends up after this, though.
It's going to be tough, and this is one of those situations where you're trying to ask yourself, okay, how much of this was XSET playing poorly, because we did see some missed touches from J-Pow on defense, and how much of it was NRG playing out of their minds? I think this was a combination of both. So the question moving forward is, how is NRG going to perform against a team that's maybe a little looser and a little more ready to play? Because NRG, when they're playing to their peak, it's tough for anyone to beat them. So it'll be a fun tournament to witness.
Tough for anyone, for sure. Another team that's tough for most to beat, Space Station Gaming, are coming up next, taking their match against Volt Esports. You don't want to miss that one. Come back after the break.